You know, any sound you make before the intro music ends doesn't get put in the video.
That's okay.
All right. It's a teaser. It's
fun for me.
That's an audio
it's
only
practice.
Audio only segment.
Okay. Yeah.
The drink.
It's just for the people who listen audio only.
Okay. Well, since we have video now, I think we need to address what you just pulled that.
Feel that.
Yeah, it's cold.
Isn't that amazing?
It's wet too. It's cold.
It's wet because it's a drink.
Pick up that styrofoam.
Drinks are wet.
Pick up the styrofoam. Okay, whatever. You're not helping me. You're not helping me.
Why would I? Why would I?
So our longtime print heads are going to recognize this episode as a riff episode.
We used to do this often. We need to get back to our roots.
Get back to the total unpreparedness.
I mean, we were prepared in the past, but and we're prepared today.
Yeah. We're prepared.
Loads of content.
We're prepared to just riff it, right? Well, I guess we do have a little bit. We have a little bit. I came with a news story, and we'll see where that goes.
Okay. I like that.
And some parts.
I've got some things to talk about.
Okay, let's launch into that first.
Oh, let's launch?
Launch. Oh. I'm trying to raise the energy here.
My goodness.
Through vocabulary.
Which is something that I can't do. Rude. Rude.
As of, last week, my whole psyche around vocabulary has been shooken.
I love it. I love it. I love that I could teach something.
I can't vocabulary.
I'm just checking audio.
I don't know
here.
What's going on there.
Could you hear it?
Yeah. The sound's going like this.
We're going in and out. See, these are technical challenges.
Oh God. Look, your drink.
It messed you up.
It's disappearing my notes. What are you doing? Quit playing with that.
I know.
What are you doing?
Did I mess it up?
I don't know. I can't hear anything. What the heck are you doing?
Wait, can you really not hear anything anymore?
I can't hear anything.
So that wasn't me. We may have to start this episode over. How about now?
Yeah, I can hear. You turn the knob, it goes down. You turn it the other way, it goes up.
I know. I'm trying to get it to where we're not maxing out.
Okay.
It just happened again.
Literally that.
Is it coming from you?
Don't touch anything.
Look how mad Tyler is right now. I love it. I love it.
Oh, again, longtime print heads will notice a drop in the audio quality last week too. And
I think anybody will notice that.
There is no explanation. We'll just leave it at that. Your drink is trying to disappear my notes. That's an attack. That's aggression. That's violence.
It's an airborne attack.
That's violence. You carpet bomb my notes.
All right. Enough whining. Let's get into this.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Please. So, for the print heads.
Yes.
I want to show something you brought in for us.
Okay.
Willingly, thank you for doing that because it's very embarrassing.
Is that unusual?
I feel like you don't want to do anything that'll make you look bad. Hold this up, would you? What is that? Why don't you tell everybody what that is?
This is
pickles, cheese, lettuce and onion, sesame all seed buns.
I think they're describing a big
2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Say that again. 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
We've taken this show to new lows.
So this is a 3D print that only the longest, most dedicated, most devout print heads will recognize.
The most devout print heads have seen it because you did provide a link a long time ago.
Oh, that's true. So the devoutest of the devout would have gone into the show notes, clicked the link, read the article about this part.
Exactly.
But if you didn't, we'll forgive you. I won't take that personally. This is an award that was designed and printed at the beginning of 2021. So this goes back to probably the first 10 episodes of the pod where we were talking about like the design and printing and creation of these parts. And I thought for the material minute, we could talk about Vero Ultra Clear. And so I was kind of scrambling around the office.
The Material Minute brought to you by Juicy Filaments.
Yes, brought to you by Juicy Filaments. And this was one of the models that we printed with Vero Ultra Clear. And at the time, Vero Ultra Clear had come out just recently. And this was a model that I wouldn't have attempted with the traditional clear material.
The Vero Clear.
Just the Vero Clear. Yeah.
What changed? What effects would it have had you printed in the Vero Clear standard?
So let's bring a different model in here. So if you look at this model, no matter what direction you look at it, from top, bottom, side to side, right? It pretty much looks the same. It has the same amount of clarity. It has the same light transmission. It has the same like yellow or blue index, hue shift. So this is an ultra clear part. The traditional clear part would have looked good from one direction, but especially like from the top down. If you were to look through the Z direction, it would have had pretty good clarity.
Yeah.
But if you looked into the layers, the clarity would have dropped down significantly. It would have looked like, remember in my old office when someone would lean against the window and leave?
Oh my gosh.
Like a nice
so
grease
disgusting.
mark.
Yeah.
From
the smudges.
Yeah. The Jeb grease mark. That's what it would look
That's
like
what
inside.
Jeb was famous for. It's his original like smudge mark all over the window. That guy touches something, it's not clear anymore.
In his defense, there was so many times where I'd go rest my forehead against that window and just sit there for about 30 minutes. And I would, if I leaned in too hard, I'd start to slide down.
You're making this up.
Yeah, I am.
Thank you.
But for sure, my forehead touched that window several times. So anyway,
I'm not going to say why.
The Vero Ultra Clear, I climbed in through that window once.
First at 6, a violent break and caught on camera. A man busts through a front door to get inside.
I came in on the weekend. I didn't have my keys.
We're in a new facility now, folks. So
yeah, we have other ways of breaking into this building. So this material doesn't have that same issue. Okay. No matter what direction you print it, it has the same clarity. And they achieve that in a pretty interesting way. So obviously it's still rigid on the outside, but on the inside, the clear material is not fully cured. And so it's sort of like a Cadbury egg of
an M&M.
It's like an M&M in a nice hot pocket.
So the interior is more ductile, and then it has more rigid outer shell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the new material is really the more ductile interior material, right? Because the outside is still the standard Vero Clear.
It prints a shell of Vero Clear, and then it depends on the machine that you're printing on.
Okay.
Right? Because the 850 will have two separate materials that it's using. And then the J55 will just use one material cartridge. And I actually don't know all of the specifics as to why they're able to do one or the other, but I think it has to do. Yeah, I think it has to do with the lamp.
It's the lamp. You have an LED on the J55, so it's curing at just a slightly different frequency. So all the materials are reformulated for the J55,
and you have a lot more control over on/off on an LED versus like a mercury lamp.
Sure, and it lasts a lot longer.
Yeah, that's true too. So I would say this is about the closest thing you could get to printed air. This is minimalism at its finest with 3D printing. It's the material for millennials.
So let me ask you something. Speaking of printed air, have you looked into this the research package much?
Look at that. Wow. I do want to mention this is not how the parts come out of the machine. These have been polished.
I have the raw version of that part that you just held up.
This,
not your Big Mac.
Yeah, not the Big Mac.
Can I show this to the folks at home?
It's going to be hard to see.
Folks at home, I want you to really look at that beach. See how there's water under the beach?
There's like an aquarium.
This is the floating beach that I have made
The
fun of
floating
Tyler
beach.
for forever because it's a beach on top of water. So somehow this sand is miraculously
but
floating.
there's also fish as large as ships in there.
Yeah.
And
It's very
one of the
cool.
fish is the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons.
Oh my gosh.
Did you ever notice that?
I didn't. Look at that. And then you can see a hammerhead shark in there. That's just
Yeah.
lovely. You did a great job
Thanks.
on that. Other than the
one,
floating
you
beach.
almost have to tilt it just at a slight angle to get the most clarity. So it's going to be almost impossible to convey that over.
So
And also, my favorite element is the rocks, like the SOS style 2020.
I like that. This is my favorite part about my art piece.
Yeah, this is my favorite. What? That's normal. That's
my
a normal
favorite,
thing.
My favorite part is the floating beach. That's
My favorite part
absolute-
is the trees that we had to like change the shape of just a little bit.
Were they textured before and the
Do you
texture
remember
didn't
that?
come through? Yeah, I do. And I remember the waves.
There's not really a reason why.
So if that's going to be our material minute,
Yeah.
you have 60 seconds to lay this material down for us.
Oh, I just did.
That was like, you made fun of me for like a material 5 minutes and you just did it.
Okay. Let's go into it.
Okay.
I'll come up with new things to talk about.
Okay, go.
Okay, so Vero Ultra Clear is an evolution of the traditional Vero Clear. It's a Polyjet exclusive material that is aimed at applications that simulate glass and acrylic. It is the most optically clear 3D printable material available. It has a light transmission of approximately 90%. It has a yellow index of 0.6 to 1, something like that.
Wow. See what do you have a photographic memory?
No, I don't.
Do you?
I don't.
You swear?
I swear to you, I do not.
I was talking about the pod last night with somebody, and I was talking about your talents. Not to blow your head up.
Talents, plural?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about them.
And one of them being just your recall ability.
My wife would strongly disagree.
Well, maybe it only relates to technical data, but 86% light transmission. So what did you say, 90?
I said 90.
And typically you're dead on, but that to me is close enough in just like casual conversation.
Okay, yep.
And just the things that you can recall, you have to have a photographic memory. How do you do
No.
it? How do you do it?
I just really love what I do.
Oh my gosh. Spare us. It's not even funny. Just
I have flashcards at home.
what are you doing? What do you do? Like how often do you revisit the material? Is it kind of one and done? How does your brain hold on to that stuff?
I think that numbers are easier for me than other things. So I don't know.
Those numbers are just floating around
Yeah.
your head all the time.
So I
Math equations.
do you know Kevin Trudeau?
No, of course not. Why are you laughing so hard? All right, here we go. He's an American author, salesman, and convicted fraudster,
That doesn't surprise me.
known for promotion of his books and resulting legal case involving the U.S.
So he's a
Federal
guy
Trade
who
Commission. Wow.
back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, I'd go to the library and I would get either books on tape or CDs, books on CD. And I would listen to all of these like programs.
That's a compact disc for all you kids out there.
Yeah. And that's
We used
a
to put our
library-
music on those.
Yeah. A library is a place that stores bound paper.
Are we even really
So-
being funny right now?
Yeah.
Or is this just
We're being funny to some people.
okay? Good.
So anyway, Kevin Trudeau would have these, he was like an early marketer of things like improve your memory, increase your reading speed, blah, 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 blah.
You
that
went,
sort of
you
thing.
went wholehearted
So
down that path.
in my middle school and high school years, I probably ingested like every program like that, from memory to reading. I even remember doing this thing called photo reading, which is totally
You're the kid that's going like this with the book.
It was basically
pouring the pages into your mind.
To kind of whittle it down to just its basics. You would read a book several times, but you would never peruse it. You would never peruse it. You would always skim it.
Okay.
And one of the steps would be like, you'd almost go into this. You ever do Magic Eye?
No.
Really? Magic Eye? Like,
Why do you do this to me?
no.
Why
really?
you do this on purpose?
No, I'm not.
You do this on purpose.
Magic Eye. She's not this. Magic Eye.
You ever heard of it?
No.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
One of us. One of us.
Magic Eye is like one of the books that you would sell. Did you do like Scholastic Book Club?
Yeah, of course.
And you would sell the books, and the Magic Eye would be like, it was like a fractal looking image, and you would unfocus your eyes, and a 3D image would pop out.
Sure. Yeah,
Magic Eye.
Okay.
So with photo reading, one of the steps was you'd basically go into that trance and then just like flip through the book,
You've got to be kidding me.
and you'd feed the information straight to your unconscious mind. And the
Did it
idea is
ever
that it would
work?
stick with you.
Did it ever work?
I don't know, but I do remember all of the books that I tried it with.
But you remember the titles, but you don't necessarily remember what
Yeah,
they were
because
about.
one of them was like Isaac Newton's Principia. So it was like 1,000 pages of dense.
So you've been interested in knowledge retention and efficiency.
I've always been
forever.
interested in improving, like improving abilities.
Spare us again, please.
You brought it up,
No,
and I claim no.
from a
I
child,
claim no difference.
from grade school, you have been investing your money and time into knowledge retention,
Yeah,
memory.
it's
Recall.
Since I was a child, I had deep insecurities.
Is that what
about
it is?
being- Of course it is. Of course it is.
Well, it paid off, for heck's sakes.
I know.
Look at me over here.
Yeah, you're happy.
The dumber you are, the happier. That's really messed up. When you do this
That's
stuff,
not what I said. That's not.
I know what you
said.
meant. I know what you meant.
This is not a therapy session.
This hurts.
This is not a therapy session.
This is going to be a fun episode.
No, I know. I know.
All right, so
I can't wait until the whole world sees this, which is kind of a cool thing. Now that it's on video, more and more people are consuming the pod.
Are they?
I've noticed a huge uptick in people saying, "Hey, I listened to your pod.
Yeah.
I watched your pod," and I've
They're
heard
bots.
there's rumors that some people even double dip.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you hearing these rumors? Really? That's it?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
But some people have, because just, you know, I respect our listeners' privacy.
My goodness. Well, I have seen an uptick.
It's
and
cool.
we've got listeners in almost every state in the U.S.
Yeah.
We're
and many nations,
yes, and
including
so that's,
Canada.
yes, but
even-
not including guess where?
Where?
Hawaii.
Australia.
No, we have many listeners in Australia. Shout out to our fellas and ladies down under. Having a Vegemite sandwich while they're
Is
listening
Vegemite?
to this.
That's an Australian thing?
That's a spread.
My
Speaking
fence
of,
came from Australia.
did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
My fence is a perfect example of me having a complete inability to assess like how long things take.
Yeah, that's. Remember the time that I told you the H350 was going to take a little longer to implement? And you're like,
Yeah.
no, we'll have it done by February.
Yeah, and that was probably like January 25th. I
Mhm.
said that.
Yeah. But we have good news. I do want to update our listeners. And for those of you who don't know what the H350 is, it's our powder-based nylon 11 system,
SAF.
SAF. Stratasys is very keen on calling it SAF, not SAF. So
Oh,
you really messed up.
NWO.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, we have that system. It's a competitive system to the HP Multijet Fusion.
That's pronounced mjf.
Yeah.
They're adamant. Mjf.
So we are excited to see how it works. I have actually, in fact, seen one working. I have worked with one. I've cleaned some parts myself, and I'm anxious to get working with our own system to really experience it as a user and be able to relay to you what it's like.
Yeah.
On that topic, well, go ahead.
I was going to say our friends in the upper Midwest at Advanced Tech have their H350 running as of this week. I saw
they do. I saw
pretty
it also.
Cool. Their showroom that they're building out is pretty sweet.
Little shout out there for Advanced Tech.
Yeah.
There's another system that's competitive with both of these.
What's that?
With HP and our H350.
What's that?
The Fuse 1.
Oh, well, that's a different technology.
I
wouldn't say it's competitive. Okay, explain.
Okay, so you're talking powders.
Powder, yep.
The parts look similar. They act similarly. I would also say.
What do you mean they act similarly?
They're solid. When you cut them apart, they're solid. They're not porous like FDM. The exterior finish is kind of a sugar cube type finish. And it has a cool down procedure, which is longer than ours. However, it's pretty low cost. I'm not sure how much it costs. I think it's under 20 grand.
Yeah.
The person who I saw
in that price range, it's like 20 to 30 or 20 to 40 all in, something like that.
Yeah. It's like a cheap car. And a regular Joe Schmuckatelli could purchase one. And I actually met one of those Joe Schmuckatellis.
Okay.
And he explained to me how he uses it. He works in audio visual in, let's say, the West Coast, where that is very popular. And
they love using their eyes and ears out there.
No, Hollywood, we're talking.
Hollywood.
Yeah. So this guy is creating and selling parts to everybody in the movie industry. So I'm not going to get into too much detail. I don't want to snake his business or anything like that, but he's creating
business.
Look for this fella. I'm not going to bring him up, but
the Fuse 1 you could fit in a trench coat. So is he on the corner of like?
No, you couldn't. You couldn't. The Fuse. Are we on the same page here?
Yeah. The machine is like that tall.
Fuse
1. Isn't it like that tall?
No. Let me show you a picture real quick.
Okay.
So this is a Formlabs system.
And they have a secondary unit to decake the parts, right?
Yeah. So let me get you. Can you see that?
How tall is it? I know what you're talking about.
It's this tall.
Does it stand on the ground?
Yeah, it stands on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So think of like
I thought it was more benchtop.
Big mini fridge.
Okay.
No, here's the system, what it looks like with the powder removal station.
Okay. Yeah, it's on a table.
Yeah, it's on some sort of stand.
It's on a table.
Okay. That's whatever. Judge for yourselves, folks.
Yeah, judge for yourself.
Go look
Can
this
you fit
thing
this
up.
in a trench coat or not?
The answer to that is a simple no. But anyway, it does create good parts. He showed us a lot of the parts that come off it. They're really good. I will tell you right now his complaints.
Okay.
He's not ready to make the jump to an H350. It's significantly more expensive. The facility requirements are a lot higher. Right now, this is a relatively lightweight system, but it's definitely more intense than an FDM system implementation. So he's creating good parts. His complaints are, one, there is a stage where he has to leave the parts in the system. He can't do a direct batch swap like the HP system can or the H350.
Okay.
So he can't pull that straight out of the system when it's done printing. It actually has like a 6-hour cooldown in the machine.
Okay.
After that 6 hours, then you pull that out and let it cool outside of the machine for an additional 24.
Okay.
It may not be a full 24, but up to 24. He said his turnaround, though, is basically like 48 hours.
Okay. Well, that 6-hour cooldown time in the machine makes it pretty hard to do two jobs in one day.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to be on top of how you're doing your jobs.
Yeah, he has to build his schedule out in a certain way if he has production to do. But his second complaint was material swaps, which that's not a problem the H350 has because there just aren't any other materials.
Yeah, but it would be a problem. It would be a problem.
Yeah. So
a bigger problem.
It's not easy to swap materials.
I would think it would be a bigger problem
on our system or his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The big wave cannot be tamed.
That's trademarked. TM.
Big wave cannot be tamed easily.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're going to change materials, the biggest difference is that the HP machines and the H350, they're very production oriented. So the idea is like, you really don't want to change materials, right?
Yep.
But I will say that I wish we had SLS in our portfolio. That's what the Fuse One is, SLS.
Why is that?
Because it offers some of the same benefits that we get out of like a powder bed fusion, but it offers additional benefits that we don't, like a smaller, less expensive machine. I do think that the laser curing, laser fusing offers some benefits with like composite materials. You see a lot of composite materials in SLS. So glass fill, nylon or carbon fill, nylon, polypropylene, stuff like that. I think that when we were just FDM and Polyjet, we had a lot of holes in our portfolio. And then we added DLP and we added SAF, and that filled some holes, but we still definitely have a hole in this type of part.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot smaller. At least we have the H350
Yeah, but
now.
you can do much larger parts too. Now, I will say that the mystery EV manufacturer that I was visiting last week, and many other customers.
What did you call it? The car EV car company? Or
EV.
Car vehicle company? You said something funny.
Electric vehicle EV company. Anyway, them and a lot of people who have SLS, like, it has its downsides too. And especially more industrial machines, they're very big footprint for relatively small build. And then you see that dynamic in the Fuse too, where you have a printer, but then you have a station for dealing with the powder that's bigger than the printer. So,
that was the other thing. His recycle rate wasn't as high as he would like.
Yeah.
So
I wonder how it compares.
That would be interesting to find out.
Yeah.
I think we'll hear more about it. It's probably been a relatively popular system, and it's a good way for people to get their feet wet, I think, with this type of system.
It's a good move by Formlabs. It's good. It seems like it's a good system that was filling a void in the market for sure.
So I want to get into a major topic.
Ooh.
But before I do,
sounds serious.
It is serious, actually. But I want to first say that I saw, speaking of EVs, I saw the Hummer.
In
EV
person?
In person yesterday on
really?
I-15. I didn't
Here in
even
Salt
know
Lake.
it was out yet.
Yeah, I didn't
know they were delivering.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Amazing.
Was it huge?
Oh, massive. Massive. The guy inside looked like a regular sized fella, but he looked like he was in a spaceship cockpit.
Yeah.
Like he's driving this thing and the screen was bigger than this. It had to have been.
Yeah.
Just massive screen. And it looked so cool. I was like, man, I'd love to take that thing for a spin. It was very futuristic.
Was he
very
was he crab walking down the freeway?
No. Very like Halo-esque. You
That's
know the
cool.
warthog in Halo?
Yeah.
So
That is cool.
It had that kind of vibe to it. Very cool to see. We're starting to see more Rivians out here. At least I have. Have you?
I've yet to see one.
There's a couple that roll around here.
Cool.
The greater Salt Lake area.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm seeing more of these EVs in person. I really like it. I think I'm on board, ready to trade in the old gasser.
It's nice to see some of these vehicles being released.
And
Although
they're
I saw
for real.
an article, Ford has like a serious problem with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Engines failing.
Right.
And we personally know someone who's had their engine fail within 75 miles.
And there are two people now here that have them.
Yes.
We have a second Jeb who has one.
Yep. Actually, we have 3.
We do?
Yeah. But one works remotely.
Okay.
But he comes into the office like
All
once
right.
a week.
So we're going to know more about this. I know the build quality has also been questionable on those.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
And we may see similar things with Rivian because they are really trying to pump those out. Last I read, they were pumping out like roughly 170 to 180 cars a day, which is pretty good clip.
Is it?
They were doing like 13. So
Yeah.
I think it's not compared to Ford.
By magnitude, it's not huge, but by comparison, anything's more than 13.
Yes. Yeah.
A baker's dozen a day.
Yeah, baker's dozen.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing pretty good. And the fact that they've made their way out to Utah, that you see them in the wild, that's exciting. So
I can't wait to see someone take the Hummer down to Moab,
it's going to be
and try to tackle the Red Rock.
It's a heavy rig. I think it
But
weighs
it's powerful.
Yeah, it needs to be. I think it weighs close to 10,000 pounds, give or take 1,000 pounds. That's a commercial vehicle.
I remember thinking that weighs more than my Super Duty. And my Super Duty is like 7,500, and it was significantly more.
Yeah, I've got a Super Duty.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you do have a Super Duty, don't you? You feel pretty cool.
2004, baby. Class of 2004.
All right, let's get into this serious topic now.
Okay.
Now that I've got my car fixed.
Okay. I don't know what's
You nervous?
Coming. A little bit nervous.
This one's pretty simple. Supply chain woes.
Oh, okay.
So I've committed to do a webinar later this month. You can tune into that. This is
I will.
a low-key advertisement for it. If anyone's interested in kind of learning about what's going on, what we're seeing out there, what people are asking us for when they come to us for help, because it really seems like lately customers are just coming to us for help.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you noticed that?
Well, I think that's what they've always done.
It's true, but it has a different flavor now.
Yeah. A broader spectrum.
It to me it feels like, hey, we're having trouble with overseas shipments. We're having trouble with our turnaround time. Do you have anything? Maybe they investigated 3D printing 4 years ago or 3 years ago, which when you're busy as a company, especially a small company, 3 years can fly by.
Right.
So they may just now be reinvestigating and asking, what new technologies are there? Can you guys help us with some of this low volume production?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes now. And our competitors is yes for some of them.
Yeah. Yes, with an asterisk is what I would say.
And that's kind of what I wanted to get into. And that's why I think it's more serious, because we had a very basic conversation the other day where you were like, additive is not the solution. And if it were, then they would be immune to the supply chain issues.
I did say that.
Are you embarrassed that I'm bringing that up?
I did say that in a one-on-one conversation with you.
That incompetence. I told you that.
That was off the record. That was off the record. Strike that.
You're going to have to bleep that. Bring it.
It is true, though. It's like if these printing companies had solved supply chain problems, we wouldn't be seeing 12, 16, 20-week lead times from various machine manufacturers. So either they're just like, oh, yeah, we'll just delay our machines too so we don't stand out amongst the crowd.
Which is not happening.
Which doesn't happen. Or they also have serious issues like sourcing parts. The challenge is that these machines have hundreds of parts, hundreds of components.
Thousands.
Some of them thousands.
Millions.
Millions and billions and trillions and quadrillions.
Okay. Strike that from the record, please.
Yeah, that's way too big of a number. So anyway, printing can definitely help in some circumstances for some parts. No doubt about that. And in some situations, that might be the one part that is extending the lead time by a significant portion. Totally plausible. But it's not going to help you get chips quicker. It's not going to help speed up the time of now that our product is in a container, let's get it on the ocean and start that journey through the ports. It's not going to help that. So we just have to be realistic, like around that conversation. I will say, so Exact Metal told me once that, so they use a lot of printed parts in their machine, and it was designed that way from day one. And they print some of their own parts and they outsource some parts. So they have some printed stainless parts that they produce. They also have printed nylon parts that they source from a service bureau. By printing maybe 15, give or take, parts, they cut the total cost of their machine down by 10%, which is pretty amazing. And those parts, they're probably not having issues. So that's 15 fewer headaches that their buyer has to, and their supply chain guy has to deal with. So it helps. No doubt about that.
So you're just trying to equal out your negative Nancy attitude with one positive story?
How many positive stories do I need to provide
I'm
to satisfy
kidding.
you?
I'm satisfied, actually, because I think that's why I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah.
I think in the cases that we've seen so far, a lot of them here, me personally, we can definitely help. But it does take the right situation.
Yeah.
It takes the right part,
Right.
really. And in certain cases, there's a single part that's slowing a company down. Those are ideal for us, especially if the part requirements aren't, very stringent. We have people that come to us and they say, hey, do you have something with a material range of this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can do that. If that's
Sure.
their only requirement, but then as they add more requirements, it gets tougher and tougher and tougher. And especially because people generally come to us with a traditional material. We're replacing an injection molded part, which is a thermoplastic of some sort. And we aren't necessarily, our production systems, aside from the SAF, the Origin one is not making those polymers. So I've found difficulty as we go down that road, because people start with, oh yeah, our only requirement's this.
Yeah.
And then as you get down the road, it's like, well, it really needs to do this, this, and that. Oh, and by the way, it's in contact with this chemical.
Right.
So it may require some testing.
If nothing else, it's a great entry point for printing into many products, right? Because you can imagine a scenario where you're a designer on a project and you believe in printing, but the people around you don't, or there's skepticism, especially from management or decision makers or someone.
They've been burned in the past.
They've been burned in the past, or they're just, the skepticism comes from the unknown or a change in how they do things. And so you may have found resistance, right, in your advocacy for printing.
Your evangelism.
Yeah. So this could be a great way to bring in printing and at least give it a shot, right? Because it doesn't have to solve the whole issue, but if you could come to your leadership and say, hey, it does solve this problem, and I've identified this material with this technology, it can do these tolerances of this size and of this throughput, I think we should print these, and you sign it off, suddenly that's a printed part that didn't have opportunity for life in the past, which I think is pretty cool.
It's people know what they need. Right now, if you're curious, I'm looking up a discussion that I had with a customer. I keep a lot of my AE notes.
Oh, nice.
Here
That's
on the
good.
computer. And I actually had a discussion with a lady the other day who was kind of the company evangelist for 3D printing.
Oh, yeah.
And she got it.
What a cool job.
Yeah. Well, we didn't find out till we got kind of into the call. It was sort of a discovery call. And it was probably 3/4 of the way through where she's like, I'm not the one who actually does the printing, which I was shocked because she just knew so much about printing. And she finally told us, like, my real role here is to let our other engineers know what's capable with 3D printing, what 3D printing ability we have in house. And she's probably one of the first people I've ever heard tell me what they're looking for is freedom of design being one of the things that they like and want out of 3D printing. That's like one of our main sales pitches, right? Like it's kind of like this thing you tack onto the backside to be like, yeah, not only does it do everything else, it also gives you some design freedom.
How big is this company?
Massive.
Oh, okay.
It is.
That makes sense because
they have multiple locations.
You'd have to be a large organization to have someone whose sole or their primary responsibility is just learn this technology.
Yeah, totally. So
that's cool.
It was good to have that conversation with her. It was very refreshing to kind of have a conversation with a customer or potential client that gets it. I'm not saying that most people don't, but most people come to us with like one thing in mind.
Yeah.
And it's usually not the only thing additive can do for them.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's like an enlightening thing where we just want to teach someone, hey, you came to us for this, but we might be able to do this, this, and this too.
We do a lot of educating. And I've noticed now that our conversations include like 4 or 5 different technologies, that it gets very confusing for the person on the receiving end.
Totally.
Very quickly. And they start conflating and mixing up letters and like all sorts of things.
That's where the acronyms don't come in handy.
Yeah.
At all.
And especially when you, like we've already done it in this conversation. In referring to one thing, we've called it both SAF and H350. And that's, now you're just doubling.
Shouldn't do that.
You're just
do that.
doubling.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, are these two? Are these separate? Are they the same?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that because yesterday I had a meeting with a college professor who's getting one of these in a local college here. And we talked to them before.
One of what?
System. Polyjet.
Polyjet. Okay.
Yeah. For sure, an F370 Polyjet's a potential.
Okay.
So we used to just have these FDM and Polyjet discussions. And even when it was just those two, people would be like, oh, wait, so that can't do this?
Yeah.
Oh, so that system can? And it was confusing, and now we're adding in more.
Yeah.
So we are learning right now how to have these like very clear differentiators and like divides in our conversation. Like you don't even show them a Polyjet part if you're talking about FDM. Like get through that whole conversation, cut it off, and then say, okay, now sideline everything we just told you. This system and this technology, this is how it works. And I'm finding that that's the way I'm doing it. I don't know if it's the best way.
I think what we need to do is like
flashcards.
you ever go to the
as we're talking about it,
the observatory or like a science museum?
Yeah.
And now they have the displays, and it's very segmented, and it's very like as basic as possible. That I think that's what we need here in the office.
Set up our front room kind of like a museum.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's it does need to be compartmentalized though. So it's almost like as you're walking from left to right, you're looking at these items and they're not grouped together in a bad way. They're grouped together by technology.
And then just like at the museum, we can have like a selfie spot. You take a selfie with the F370
or with the Einstein, the huge Einstein head that we have printed.
Now take your selfie.
So anyway,
we need the headsets where they can do just the self-guided tour. So we just give them a headset when they come in.
People walking around in here, just random.
Yeah.
I like the idea of compartmentalizing a little more because it is getting tough to have these conversations. Even like having the production conversation adds another degree of difficulty because you have to explain to people like this. These are the technologies that we've been working with in the past. And we have done some low volume production, very, very low. And here's how these technologies scale. Now let's step into DLP. This is how it scales. And this is how we're lowering the cost per part.
The good thing is at least here in Salt Lake, we are already sort of segmented in that way. We have our front lobby with the office friendly machines.
Yeah.
That are, primarily prototyping and whatever. And then we have the lab space, which just happens to be all of the more production-oriented machines.
It does help. That helps. by the time we get in the lab space, because we usually work from the office to the lab.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I saw the deer in the headlights look when we were talking about the Origin one. He's like, now, whoa, wait. And he was cool enough to be like, I'm overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
And we saw it happen, and most people don't say anything.
Right.
You see it happen and you're like, hey, I'm going to push through because maybe there's
and they
multiple
just glaze
people.
over.
Yeah. Well, if you have 5 people and one of them's glazed over, you can't slow down for
That's
everybody.
Darwinism. You're
exactly.
Yeah.
So you'll push through it, and you know that the majority will teach that person if they need to down the road.
If he's worth it.
But this guy was alone, and I thought it was cool that he said, okay, wait, is this this technology or is this one? And he actually owned his own DLP. He built his own. So he had an understanding of it.
Sometimes those are the hardest people to have come into the office, though. The DIYers, because they think they know everything. And 2, they think that they need to prove to you that they know everything.
Yeah.
And respect. I'm not going to build a printer. I'm just not going to.
Even though you said in a past episode that you would.
I know. That was what I was
if you had to choose.
I was about to talk to you about this yesterday, and then I stopped myself, and I just had to confirm that when I initially said I would go without a printer, that was a lie. It's totally impossible.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know that because my wife refurbished a hutch last weekend, and one of the latches was broken, and it never even crossed my mind. It did not even enter my brain that I could go to Home Depot and buy one. Didn't even enter my mind. I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that to work. Come into work the next day, spend 5 or 10 minutes with the calipers and
reverse engineer
it, printed it out, took 42 minutes to print. I brought it back that day. And I was telling my neighbor about it. He's like, you could have bought that.
How did it make you feel?
Well, it just struck me there where it's like, it's become my default. Printing is just my default. It doesn't even.
Sometimes less is more, Tyler.
I know.
Sometimes less is more. I want to get into a print real fast.
Oh yeah.
We may not have show and tell every time.
That's true.
But I think we're on a roll here.
I'm not committed to doing show and tell every time.
That's fine by me. And we go through some dry spells personally where we're not
printing every day. That hutch piece is the only thing I printed this past week.
Can I show you this thing?
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
All right. So let me not spill my liquid beverages. We'll edit that sound out. Don't worry.
No, we won't.
This is
it doesn't work that way.
This is an F770 part. What does that look like to you?
It looks like a ring for a giant. Like a nice wedding ring for a giant.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
No. So this is going to be an LED frame, backlit frame.
Okay.
That I'm going to do. So you want to help me with some of these things?
Yeah. I'll hold this up. Oh, there's 2 of these.
This is a pretend company. This is not a real company. This would be like, this is for my basement.
Oh yeah.
See what I'm saying?
What does it
Boom.
say?
Timberline motorcycles.
Timberline.
Made in the USA.
Made in the USA.
See that? The little mountains. They're going to go right there.
Cool.
It's going to be pretty cool. I'm pumped about it. So what I am doing is I'm going to buy a piece of frosted acrylic.
Okay.
And I have designed in a space for the frosted acrylic to kind of set against within the frame.
Yeah.
And then I'll put a backing board on it, just like a picture frame. And I'm just going to Amazon an LED light kit.
Sweet.
That I can hook up to that.
Cool.
So I'll bring that in when it's ready to light up. And
have you cut acrylic on your X-Carve?
My Shapeoko.
Your Shapeoko?
I haven't. And here's the challenge with this. I don't have the XXL, so I can't fit this on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what I can do is get the router all the way to the front of the table, hang it off the edge, put my acrylic on a pivot, and just dive into the material, and then just by hand spin it around that pivot point.
Oh,
what do you think? Is that bad?
It might work. I've seen that done with bandsaws.
Really?
Yeah. It's a common way to cut circles with a bandsaw.
Even though the bandsaw blade will wander a little bit, it wouldn't probably on acrylic, but I would imagine on a tougher material.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my issue right now. Or I may just jigsaw it. I have quite a bit of tolerance here.
Yeah. How thick of acrylic? And why acrylic over polycarbonate?
It was readily available at the Home Depot.
Yeah. They sell Lexan at Home Depot.
This is one of those. I think it actually is Lexan.
That's polycarbonate.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just a brand name for polycarbonate. And I was going to say,
Lexan is a brand name, because this is a different brand name than that.
Okay. Polycarbonate would be much easier to cut than acrylic.
Why?
Acrylic is going to want to crack on you.
That's why they have those glass cutting kits right next to these sheets as you buy them.
Yeah, it probably would be better to score.
You really think?
Acrylic. I don't know how you'd score.
It is
circle,
acrylic.
Though.
It is acrylic. Says right here.
But it's
Did I mess up?
But it's not Lexan.
It's not Lexan.
You should buy the Lexan. It'll be
It's
more
too
expensive.
late.
Take it back.
No, it was $30. I'm gonna make it work. Don't listen to Tyler.
All right. Can't wait for the update. I believe in you.
You think I'm gonna crack it?
I've cracked every single piece of acrylic I've ever tried to cut.
Well, I'm throwing down.
I know.
I may use the router. So
just a regular router?
Well, the router, I have the router that's actually in my Shapeoko, so I can pull it out and use it by hand.
I have a circle cutting jig if you want.
Ooh, that could be helpful.
Yeah, but you have to put a pin in the center.
Right.
Will it get covered?
I think it gets covered with this piece right here.
You think, or did you design it to be covered?
I didn't design it to be covered, but this sits right in the middle, so it might show up in that E. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll find
I have
out.
a circle cutting jig for a router. I'll bring it in.
Okay. Good
Cool.
luck.
Best of luck. Godspeed.
All right.
Acrylic is hard to cut.
We'll find out. If I fail, I'll be the first to tell you on the next episode that I messed up, because I won't have anything to bring.
The edges sit behind that lip, so the edges are not visible.
Yes, that is correct.
That will help.
Right.
You could just cut it with a Dremel. It'll take forever.
I could hook a Dremel to a string.
Or even like
Dremel's
a
the same
cutting
thing as
disc
the
on an
router.
angle grinder.
I'll let you know what I do.
Okay. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
There's 100 different ways.
This is actually pretty fun. Like now I'm even kind of more excited to do it, because now it's like a challenge. If I would have messed up and broken it before, it would have been like, crap.
So I would say these type of discussions are part of the GoAdditive podcast. If you're a new printhead and you only joined because you can watch us on YouTube, and our first 2 or 3 episodes didn't really contain this type of conversation, that's because we swayed.
We're getting back to our roots.
Yeah. This is more like what the pod's like.
It took us a second to get back to normal, I think. And, things might change with the video, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. I'm going to be moving boulders and pouring concrete within the next week.
You're going to use your big shovel?
Yeah. I already used the big shovel. I got the boulders in my yard now.
Nice.
Did I show you that?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Massive boulders, 3-4 foot rocks.
You'll have to bring in something. We need to be able to show that off.
Yeah.
I want to see a video of you in there driving this thing, and I just want to see you tear up your fiber optic line again.
Oh, dude.
You don't like that when I bring that up, do you?
No.
All right.
I haven't broken anything else yet.
Is there anything else you want to tell the print heads out there before we bounce?
No. Thank you for watching.
If you do like the pod, don't like and subscribe. I'm not going to tell you to do that.
My wife said that she thumbed down on YouTube.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, she did.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, I don't want to be recommended this.
What a jerk. What a jerk.
She said that she was joking.
Okay, good.
I will say at first, when she first started listening, she's like, Tate's really mean to you. I don't like him.
No.
And so then
you're mean to me.
So then
we need to show her some more bully episodes.
So she watched a couple episodes and she saw us on camera and she's like, okay, I get it now. I get it now. He's cool.
Oh, goodness. It was the video that changed her mind.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because of the faces I make after I make fun of you?
I don't know.
Wow.
She's
Well,
very protective.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's great that we have that dynamic though, that in the video can change it. And
Yeah.
if it does make it more engaging, that's cool. But if you do like it, I'm not even gonna ask that you like and subscribe. Just recommend it to a friend. If you have someone else you think would be a printhead,
Yeah. Send it out.
just let them know.
Share it. Share the love.
I don't share enough of the good pods that I listen to, and I'm gonna make an effort to do that. So
Cool.
do the same.
All right, cool. Well, is that it for the episode?
Go
Is that it
buy
for today?
go buy you some juicy filaments.
Yeah, buy Juicy Filaments. All right.
See ya.
Next week.